Hi, this is Marlis from AnyIdea. Today I want to show you the most important use cases for foresight and scouting and how you can best map them in AnyIdea. Before we go into the platform, let's start with a short overview. You start the foresight and scouting process with strategic focus topics, innovation or search fields, technologies, or with specific questions. After that, you go into the exploration phase. Here in AnyIdea, we currently offer 3 different options for that. First, using industry insights. You look what's currently moving your own industry or what's moving other industries like your customers' industries. Then there's the option to explore general trends like the institutional trends from Trend 1. And those are the megatrends, microtrends, and signals matched to them. Or in targeted scouting, you can ask any topic you want. This way you get the most important trends and signals specified to the topic. Of course, after exploration, you can manage these results. When you have discovered relevant trends, signals, or opportunities in the exploration phase, you can either save them in the collections or you can evaluate trends and visualize them in the trend radar. What's very important to know, when we talk about data, I mean over 60 million signals that we process in AnyIdea that we prioritize by topic and cluster them into trends. This data includes microtrends, companies, startups, scientific papers, research projects, patents, and news. And of course, they are continuously growing. This means that trends evolve, scouts find new results and signals over time, and so you get automatically informed about the latest developments. Okay, let's start directly into the platform. First of all, I recommend working with the macro trends at the beginning. These are the general macro trends and megatrends from Trend 1, which give you an overview about the big topics that are currently moving the world. Here, for example, I can enter a search term like energy and then I see all important trends from Trend 1 on this topic. I can manage these macro trends by saving or evaluating them. Let's make an example here. If I want to have the most important startups for this macro trend, I can do it right here and look at these startups. Then I can go directly to the startups page, and when it seems interesting for me, I can save them into my collections. If I want to dig a little bit more deeper, I can search through the signals. For example, here in the news articles, I can search for the topic of water, and so I specifically get those news articles that are related to the trend and to the search term. Let's move on to scouting and research. This is the data-based scouting core of AnyIdea Foresight. Here you can scout any topic in a very targeted way and receive the most important signals and trends for it. 100% data-based. Let's start with the Industry Scout. In the Industry Scout, you will find the most important trends and developments from over 140 predefined industries. You can select your own industry or, for example, neighboring or your customers' industries. There you will see the most important trends and signals, and this only with a few clicks. In the Scouts, I can work with the trends here and have a look on which signals those trends are based. Because, as I said in the beginning, the trends in the Scouts are clustered and based on the most important signals. This way I can get an overview of which, for example, companies are currently working on these trends, for example here, quantum computing, and what research currently is doing. If I have the use case to directly look at the signals, for example, if I want to search for news articles for my scouting topic, I can do that here on the Signal tab. Here I can look specifically at single signals that contribute to my scouting topic. I can also look at the signal more in detail, for example, by clicking on the original source or I can save them into my collection. Let's jump back to the scouting overview. I can also send an AI scout on a mission with my own topic. For example, how will water management evolve in the future? Based on my scouting topic, I can decide whether I look very broad on a topic or if I look for specific solutions. In this first example, I went very broad into the topic. So I choose a very broad question for this topic, energy and urban, because my goal is to look on the broad trends that are dealing with this topic. And here, for my use case, I will look at the future fields or trends to see what is currently influencing this topic or what big movements are going on based on the signals I found for this scouting topic. To better understand what the trend is about, I can surely read through the description, which is based on the signals of this trend, and dive in more deeply and look at the concrete and specific signals there, which I can of course also save into my collections. You can also of course evaluate this trend in the trend radar, or if you want to look for concrete ideas on how to work on this trend, you can generate ideas simply by clicking on this button. So this was the use case if I want to gather specific trends on my scouting topic where I go in very broad. Now we are looking at another use case. If you're looking for concrete results, for example for materials, technologies or applications, you can make the scouting question a little bit more specific. For example, what are long-lasting and sustainable materials for water pipelines? Then I go directly into the signal overview because there I will find the most important solutions and signals for this topic. This use case is also very good for startup scouting because here I get startups that are dealing with long-lasting materials for water pipelines, for example, when you're looking for corporations. You can sort the startups by date or filter them by their countries. If I want to know what possibilities and opportunities arise for me as a company based on the most important trends and signals, I have the opportunities for this. These are, so to say, the bridge between trends and solutions. Opportunities can give you a direction or innovation impulses to see what is possible for you as a company. If an opportunity sounds interesting to me, I can read what it is about, what the market potential is, what future customers are, what competitive advantages are there for me. And then I can say with simply one click what are potential solutions or ideas to work on this opportunity. Or you can also save the opportunity into a collection and work on it, for example, in a workshop. I can then find my saved trends, signals and opportunities in the collections. I can create collections on various topics, for example for search fields, startup collections or technology collections, where I can save all my relevant found content in my scouting process in a topic-centered way. Trends that I want to evaluate and visualize in the trend radar can be found here. You see, this trend is saved for evaluation and is waiting to be evaluated and then displayed in the trend radar. With the trend radar, you can see which trends you should take action on and which trends are a bit further away and should be monitored.